So, hey guys, today we're going to be talking about summoning mechanics. And we'll just briefly give a summary of how every single summoning mechanic works, and we'll go over which ones are the best type of summoning, well, without accounting for archetypal cards and such. So, basic concept for fusion is we want to make some sort of fusion monster. We need the cards mentioned on said monster. And then we need a polymerization type card. This is the basic idea, I guess, behind fusion decks, kinda, right? So this requires you 3 cards to access your monsters. So for a long time, fusion has been pretty bad because it requires so much to do arguably so little. So we don't even really have to care what the extra card is doing, but yeah, just even if all of these cards kind of search each other, you would still also have the issue of needing to play all these cards, so main deck space issue. But yeah, this is basically fusion, and I would put this on like this is actually borderline ritual levels of bad. But the difference between fusion and ritual is that you can put the fusion monster technically in your extra deck, whereas with rituals, you put them in the main deck. So in this case, ritual monsters are a little bit worse than fusion monsters, not being able to be like normal summoned at all, but you need a ritual monster, some sort of ritual spell, and then some kind of monster to tribute. So yeah, it'd be like this plus this, and then yes, cycle of the world. So like this, same kind of deal, same amount of cards, but you can't even normal summon this one. But with other one, with fusion summoning, you could at least summon the other monster as well. So it could arguably save extra deck space, but you still have to somehow find a way to access these cards to access them, I guess, to kind of like special summon them. So order, at the bottom, ritual summoning, second position to the bottom, fusion summoning, and then working our way up a little bit more. We have pendulum summoning, which is going to be a little bit kind of better. It like genuinely depends, but basic idea is you need 2 monsters to be the scales, and then you need a monster to kind of like pen summon. So with pens, you did have the advantage of like having pendulum effects that could plus you, but you know, if you didn't actually have those, kind of awkward, and you're about on par with map fusions. But all of your monsters can be summoned, and you don't actually have any garnets here. In the case like of fusions and rituals, you have polymerization and a ritual spell, and you don't have the equivalent of that in pendulum summoning. So categorically a little bit better, but then they're not like that strong of a monster typically because they would be just an average main deck monster that you would be pendulum summoning in most cases. So pendulum summon, pretty low tier, unless it allows you to go into one of the other summoning types, like fusion, synchro, xyz. Going into synchro is going to just blow all of those other types of summoning out of the water, requiring only 2 monsters to access your monster. But I mean, the downside for this would be that you need 2 monsters, but they must be specific monsters. So in this case, if I were to summon Desert Locust, we could use I guess some of these cards, punk cards or whatever, and kind of make 6. But yeah, for the most part, you'll need a non-tuner, and then you'll need your tuner card. So in this case, I don't know, we'll grab level 2 synchro. So or not synchro, level 2 tuner. So we'll go with, I don't know, Saffron Gamma. So if we have these 2 guys on the field, that could make Desert Locust I guess. But yeah, I mean, you still need access to these two, but much more simpler to do. It's just two guys, and technically they could be both guys with usable kind of effects. And even in some newer archetypes, in the case of Sword Soul, you don't actually have a need for a single main deck tuner because you make token tuners where you're making the tuners appear kind of like at thin air, which is kind of interesting. But aside from that, basic idea: drop a tuner on field, drop a non-tuner on field, boom, make a synchro. So just requiring less bodies means you have more main deck space, and you're still dropping an extra deck monster, assuming all the monsters here are going to be similar quality. This is just obviously advantageous. So if I had, well, you're limited to like 5 cards in your hand, right? So if I summon 2 non-tuners and then 2 tuners, that would be uh, 2 synchros. And if I were to need to do a fusion summon in the same sort of way, we would be able to not drop the same amount of fusion monsters, but we could perform the same amount of fusion summons. So let's assume I have 3 monsters in hand and then 2 polymerizations. I can poly 2 of my guys, and then I'll have a fusion monster plus a monster in hand to perform another fusion summon with, taking my whole hand to do so. And then ritual summoning, you can kind of do it the same way, can't you? Well, actually, no, I mean, in this case, you would just tribute the extra ritual monster, like, only ritual summon 1 time. But yeah, I mean, it kind of works, kind of not. XYZ is going to be better than also Synchro if we're just uh, thinking of just how the mechanic works in general. So if we look at a rank 4 deck, for example, all of our monsters would simply just be level 4 monsters, and we are going to be a bit more consistent than Synchros because, well, with Synchros, you need like a certain level, you need certain non-tuners, certain tuner. With XYZs here, you're going to logically be playing the same level of monster throughout your entire main deck for the most part, and that'll make it so that essentially we do not have to run any garnets or like tricky type cards like polymerization, and we only need 2 guys to make our extra deck monsters, essentially making this incredibly efficient. And not only that, but of course, all of our monsters will work for our summon of our extra deck monster, which puts us a little above, I guess, every other summoning archetype by far. And then the best one is going to be Link Summoning. So Link Summoning is even better because you have the concept of, well, Link once. So now you don't even need to drop 2 monsters on the field, you can just drop 1, and that can be kind of combo, right? And then there's also the idea of being able to convert any type of monster to like an equivalent Link monster. So that'd be like Link 2, Link 3, Link 4, whatever, right? And there's also the fact that you generically kind of be able to make these guys. So that makes Link Summoning by far the best type. Just based off of summoning mechanic and not like counting for things like boss monsters or archetypes. So yeah, I mean, Link Summoning was kind of like a band-aid fix for a lot of things for a while, honestly. Where you would have like some kind of archetype that kind of sucked, and then all of a sudden you would print a Link monster for that archetype. Like we have Bujinki Aha Shima for some reason. Do you even play this in Bujin? No idea. And then I believe you also have pendulum cards, or a pendulum card. You have Bujin Hiruko for whatever reason. Is there another scale? No. Does this actually have a pen effect? This is a normal monster with a pen effect. Okay. Bash this card in your pendulum zone, target a guy. Control special summon with a different name by using the target as the XYZ material. Weird card. But yeah, I mean, I think there was something else as well that I can't remember off the top of my head. But oh, I guess there's probably birthday as well and some other cards. But yeah, your support would just be like some sort of link monster instead of like your kind of archetypal summoning type like fusion synchro xyz or whatever. You just get some sort of funky link monster because they're so much easier to summon than your actual archetypal kind of monsters. Well, that depends, but XYZs, I think, for the most part, we're fine without them. That does help with like synchros and also like fusions, I guess, to some extent. But yeah. You don't have to worry about like levels or anything. You just need the bodies essentially for link summoning. And yeah, as we work our way down the kind of list, it changes, but yeah. Right now, a lot of these mechanics are kind of like they feel like a little bit reworked, or you're cheating the mechanics with archetypes. Like in certain archetypes, you cheat the mechanic in different ways. So, for example, for fusion summoning in Tearlament, they just completely cut out a any need of a fusion spell. So we have that cut out that way. And then for rituals with Mitsurugi, they basically printed the equivalent of a branded fusion for that archetype specifically. So now you have one card combos, kinda, as well in rituals. Are there that many ritual decks with one card combos? I don't think so. Yeah, there really aren't. Yeah. Synchro XYZ Pendulum Summon or Pendulum cards, like yeah. Pendulums can kind of search other scales and other monsters, and those monsters can search scales and stuff, and that's kind of how those combos work. XYZs at this point, like they're like really weird, but you know, they work still, I guess. The most weird example being like Curly, technically counting as XYZ summoning. And then with synchros, we have like Sword Soul, right? Spawning tokens out of essentially the void. So, or rather, I guess, tuners out of the void. So, yeah. If you were ever wondering which summoning mechanics are the worst, it's basically straight up almost in order in the filter menu. You just have to move Pendulum, and then it's pretty correct. You just need to move this like right behind Synchro, and that's it. So yeah, that's all I got for you guys today, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.